Oh.
Hey, Tina.
How are you?
I'm good. So Diana messaged me about 5 minutes ago. She's still trying to get home to Hollister. So I just told her to be safe, and I'll take care of roll call, and we'll start without her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I don't want her rushing, and it's okay.
Yeah, especially with the wet roads, huh?
Yeah. That might be her. I don't know.
So let's, we have an agency who just joined.
Okay.
Hi, Tina, this is Teresa. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Teresa.
Hi. So are we supposed to make a little presentation tonight?
Yes, but that's at the regular meeting, which starts at 7:30.
Hi, Carol.
Guys.
Everything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. All right. Tina, I was just practicing sharing my screen. So
Great.
I'll follow along with you with your verbal comments.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All Good evening to everyone who just joined.
Hello.
Hello,
Evening.
Commissioner Brocker, Commissioner Ishikawa. We're missing our chair. And Commissioners Davis. No,
I'm here.
Commissioner, yeah, Fields. Commissioner Dooley and just Dooley. Chase is not joining us for the study session.
And I don't think Commissioner Dooley is going to make it tonight.
One, two, three. We have quorum as of now, but we are expecting our chair. So we'll wait till he logs in. All right. Cecil, what happened to our music?
I can turn it back on if you like.
Sure.
All right, here goes. Hold on.
A few more minutes.
All right, don't worry.
By the way, those test videos of the Christmas music in December were just a brilliant touch.
Really? Thank you.
Oh, I loved that. I was posting links to that all over the place. I was sorry you took them down.
Oh, we try to mix it up from time to time. Let's see. Here it is. See if I can find the right tune here. Here it is.
Oh, hey, Margarita.
Yes.
By the way, I thank you for the fantastic presentation of all this material.
Oh,
Yeah, no, there was a huge amount of stuff to go through, and you, the way you set up the links and everything, that it was just really easy to go through. So thank you for that.
I appreciate the feedback. Thank you. I'm glad it worked for you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so we're it's about 5 minutes after our Vice Chair Fields. Would you feel comfortable? We do have a quorum of members. We have 4. So we do have a quorum of members, and we can start the study session if you feel comfortable kicking us off. And in order to kick us off, you would, if you can look at, I have I'm sharing my screen, and we would just need you to read this, the highlighted sentences, and then we can begin with roll call. Is that our? Did he just log in? I didn't see who logged in. Did our chair log in? Or Chair Kaufman? No. Okay. Vice Chair Fields, if you can start us off, that would be great.
Sure. This special meeting will be conducted via telecommunication and is compliant with the provisions of the Brown Act and Governor's Executive Order N2920. This special meeting will not be physically open to the public. The commission meeting, its members and participants will meet via Zoom from remote locations.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
So I will now begin with roll call. It is 6:36 p.m. Commissioner Brocker,
Here.
Commissioner Chase, Commissioner Dooley, Commissioner Fields,
Here.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Here.
Commissioner Yoshikawa,
Here.
and Chair Kaufman. Okay, we have 4 commissioners present, which is a quorum, so we'll go ahead and begin the meeting.
Margaret,
our chair.
sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let everybody know that Bill texted me and said that he's having technical difficulties, so he can hear us, but he can't get in fully. So
I just saw him. Hi
Can you hear
there.
me?
oh, hey, okay, good.
Here he is.
I apologize, everyone. I don't know
No.
what's going on.
It happens. Thank you. We're glad to see you. So we just finished roll call, and I will note that you joined the meeting at 6:37 p.m. There is a quorum of commissioners. There's 5 commissioners present. Chair Kaufman, we are in item B. If you just want to call the item.
I'm sorry, in terms of oral requests, are there any oral requests that anybody?
No, I received no oral requests for today's meeting, nor speakers that wanted to address the commission on either the items on the study session or items not on the agenda.
New business, I think the purpose of this subcommittee, or I should say this review session, study session, is to go over the social services sub-grant applications. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look through them. I recognize that they are a bit cumbersome, but I believe that the same applicants that applied last time applied this time, and I will note that the same amount of funds are available this time that were available last time. And although the requests exceed the $55,000 mark, you can make this real easy by essentially granting or discussing, maybe assigning the same dollar values that we assigned last time, but I'm happy to open it up for discussion on any of the applications. And if you want, we can go in order, starting with Catholic Charities.
Well, we have a staff report. Tina Wong Erling, our senior services manager, she has been leading the commission in the social subgrants process for a few cycles now. And she's ready to present to you sort of an overview and also an overview of the agency. Tina?
Yes.
Are
Well,
you?
good evening, everyone. Chairperson Kaufman and members of the Civic Improvement Commission and staff. And also we have quite a few agencies with us this evening. So I am pleased to review the social service subgrant applications that have been received for fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023. You did receive my staff report along with the matrix that outlines the proposed application dollar amounts. The purpose of my attendance this evening is to review this information with you and help you sort through these various proposals, and we will note any questions that you may have for follow-up as well. So just to summarize, the City of Campbell provides opportunities to social service agencies for social service subgrant funding for services that are not provided directly by the city. So these would be services that really provide an augmentation of what we do not provide directly through the City of Campbell. The Civic Improvement Commission is responsible for making recommendations to City Council on the allocation of the city's social service subgrant funds to qualified social service agencies as indicated in the memo. We did receive 6 applications this year, and as Chairperson Kaufman suggested, that they are all indeed current subgrantees receiving funding already from the City of Campbell, and there you see them listed there. So if we could turn quickly to the matrix, and I'm happy to just kind of highlight, this is a quick at a glance, a list of agencies, their scope of service, especially for our new commissioners who may not be familiar with the various agencies. I find this to be very helpful. Their approved funding for the 2-year cycle, which currently covers fiscal year 20, and we're currently in fiscal year 21. And then on the far right 2 columns, we have the FY22 requested and the FY23 requested amounts. So just to clarify, the current anticipated funding for fiscal year 22 and 23 is again 55,000. So what you see in the red is really the delta between what the requested amount is and what's actually projected to be available. So that's listed there for you. So getting back to the purpose of this evening, it's for the commission to have an initial review and discussion of the various applications. And since this is a public meeting, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our agencies who are currently receiving funding, as well as reapplying for social service subgrants. So thank you all for being here. Unless there's further questions, I have one more document to review before we get into the applications. We do put together a matrix of statistics that were submitted by our current subgrantees. For the commission's information, our subgrantees are required to submit a 6-month report of their progress based upon the goals that were stated in their original applications or proposals. And I'll give Margarita a few seconds to screen share.
Oh, is it not up?
That was Tina.
Thank you, Margarita. So what we have here is some data. Of course, we for the 2 years, we're not entirely through fiscal year 21, but we do have data for fiscal year 19-20 as listed here, which is fiscal year 20. And you can see the data that corresponds with the proposed client serve, which was indicated in the original applications. And then we have the proposed client data for fiscal year 21, and we don't have the actuals because year to date, they've only submitted their 6-month report, and their final 6-month report will be submitted around the July timeframe when their fiscal year closes June 30th. But this data is really for the commission's information. I asked that the commission factor in the current climate, the circumstances in which these agencies have had to operate during the pandemic. So the targets may not be completely reached, but there probably is adequate reasoning for really the fluctuations in the clients that they were able to serve. And if you have if you need any further information about these goals, the agencies will be speaking this evening at the public hearing at the regular Civic Improvement Commission meeting, which begins at 7:30. So at this time, I'd like to start the review of the applications. And just to note that Margarita will record questions on an open document so that we can document any questions that you may have. We are not asking the agencies to respond to these questions during this particular study session. Rather, we will give them the opportunity to respond to your questions during their presentation at the public hearing, again at 7:30 this evening.
Thank you, Tina, for that very comprehensive summary.
Okay, so I'd like to start this evening with Catholic Charities. This is their long-term care ombudsman program. The long-term care ombudsman program is really comparable to the adult protective services that responds to calls or complaints of elder abuse out in the community. The long-term care ombudsman program is really the entity that oversees long-term care facilities, and they respond to calls and complaints in that venue. So the long-term care ombudsman program advocates for frail elderly by resolving problems in long-term care facilities. Federal and state laws mandate that ombudsmen are available to elderly residents of long-term care facilities in order to ensure care is provided and meets required minimum standards. This program through Catholic Charities is currently funded at $9,500. Their funding request for the next 2-year cycle is $10,000, which is an increase of $500 from the current funding. This funding provides site visits to 17 long-term care facilities that are located here in Campbell. Included in this would be observation and monitoring the conditions of the care that's provided. In addition, a minimum of 275 unannounced visits and contacts per year would be conducted, serving 55 City of Campbell long-term care residents. This proposal proposes to conduct outreach to 55 unduplicated Campbell clients that live in, again, long-term care facilities. Any questions regarding the proposal from Catholic Charities Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program?
I'm just scrolling down the application. You should have, I don't, if at any point anybody wants me to stop or has a question about a particular part of the application, let me know. And as Tina mentioned, I have like a parking lot document of questions where I will note them and we can ask them of the agencies during the public hearing.
My question, and I think it would make sense to come in the public hearing, was more examples, cited and like what that looked like. Some of the other applications, obviously like a meal is really tangible, and this spoke about sort of interventions, and I think hearing a couple more of those stories would be useful in the study session or in the actual council meeting.
In the public hearing, yeah. So examples of client impact, client store, or examples of how they serve clients.
Correct.
Okay, noted. Okay.
Okay. So moving on, the next applicant is the Health Trust.
Tina, sorry, this is Carol. So I guess the question I would want all the applicants to answer is, how did things change due to COVID for their particular agencies? And what was the impact financially? So, whether or not they had fewer clients. So I was kind of thinking of the adult day services that may have been different due to the shutdown. And then how will that change? Because we don't know when things are going to be, so some of what's going on may continue. So that's my question to actually everyone to understand that.
How did COVID change your service delivery?
How did COVID impact your services over the past, year or 11 months? And what's your expectation of that throughout this year? Because we're not exactly comparing the same kind of things. There may be some groups may need more depending on what they're doing or less, just to understand what the impact is. Because I don't think in this case we should ignore what's going on, especially with the group of people that are being served. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the next applicant is the Health Trust. The Health Trust Meals on Wheels program is the only program in the county of Santa Clara that provides hot home delivered meals to homebound seniors age 60 and older on a daily basis. The goal of the Meals on Wheels program is to improve the health and well-being of seniors who are homebound and low income by providing home delivered meals and social visits with wellness checks. The Meals on Wheels program through the Health Trust is currently funded at $13,500. Their funding request for the next 2 years is $20,000 each year for a total of 3,000 annual meals for 20 Campbell residents. And that's an increase of $6,500 from the current funding allocation. Any questions about the Health Trust Meals on Wheels proposal?
I have another sort of technicality one. I think the chart says it was going to do 30 Campbell citizens, but the text of the doc only mentioned 20 clients. And then I was trying to figure out the meal count. It mentioned 3,000 total meals, 7 days a week, but that didn't translate to, 1,000 meals a year for each person. So I wanted to understand a little bit more, like what exactly is the coverage for this one. I'd love a little clarification on that.
What's the meal math?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll note that question, and I know the representative from the Health Trust is with us this evening, so she hopefully can provide a response to you during the public hearing. Okay, any further questions about the Health Trust Meals on Wheels program? Okay, next we have Live Oak Adult Day Services. Live Oak Adult Day Services provides a specialized program of adult daycare for dependent seniors age 60 plus who suffer from various cognitive and or physical impairment. They have 4 centers located throughout Santa Clara County. The program supports keeping seniors at home by providing respite or relief care for families and caregivers. Live Oak is currently funded for $7,000. Their funding request is also for $7,000 for fiscal years 20 and 23. Their proposal serves 7 clients in fiscal year 22 and 10 clients in fiscal year 23. Any questions for Live Oak Adult Day Services?
I was just curious if they're 100% in-home, like, I know that they or do they have any kind of hybrid program or where they bring a limited number of the adults into the center, or if they're doing only, in light of COVID, if they're only doing home visits.
Yeah, that's a great question. For the representative, definitely, because I know at least for a while they were not able to bring their clients into the facility for daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
somehow,
any other questions for Live Oak Adult Day Services? Okay, so the next agency is Next Door Solutions. Next Door Solutions serves victims and survivors of domestic violence and their children with 3 core programs that assist the client in addressing crisis and transition to safety, stability, and self-sufficiency. Community and systems advocacy and support groups and self-sufficiency programs are offered. They're currently funded for $2,500. Their funding request is for $5,000, which is an increase of $2,500 from the current funding. Their proposal outlines that they would serve 40 Campbell clients for $5,000 of funding for the next 2 fiscal years. Any questions about the Nextdoor Solutions proposal?
Tina, I don't have a question about this particular applicant, but just, I guess, across the board in regards to that one chart that you put together that had the number of people served.
Yes.
My question to all of the applicants would be just, you know, what is their explanation for, you know, for clients, for proposed versus actual clients served. So it's interesting. Some were higher and some were lower, but I'm just curious as to what the applicants have to say as to why that's so.
Okay, I'm noting it along with Commissioner Hoffman's question to all agencies, since this will apply to all agencies.
Yes, thank you, Margaret.
Okay, any further questions regarding the Nextdoor Solutions proposal? Okay, next is Senior Adults Legal Assistance, also referred commonly as SALA. So SALA provides free legal service to Campbell seniors age 60 plus, primarily by phone during COVID-19 and post-COVID at the Adult Center, by telephone or home visits. Services target seniors with low income, who are low income, or those who are at risk of abuse, isolation, or institutionalization. SALA specializes in public benefits, housing, elder abuse, advanced healthcare directives, simple wills, to name a few. The city currently funds SALA at a level of $10,000. Their funding request is for $12,000 for fiscal year 22 and $12,835 for fiscal year 23. The proposal would serve 40 clients in Campbell.
I think similar question like I had for Catholic Charities. I think just hearing an example or two of sort of the success stories from the last fiscal year, what that looked like impacting the lives of Campbell citizens. It'd be great to hear a couple examples in the public session.
Thank you. Noted it.
Any other comments or questions for SALA? Okay. So the final proposal is from St. Lucie Conference Office of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. This agency provides food, rent, utility, transportation, and other assistance to those in need, with an emphasis during COVID-19 pandemic to prevent homelessness. Funds from the city of Campbell would be used to provide rental or utility assistance or food voucher for Campbell residents. Currently, this agency is funded at $12,500. Their funding request is for $16,000 for fiscal year 22 and $15,000 for fiscal year 23. The proposed application is to serve 70 clients in Campbell.
Okay, any questions?
I was interested in what they foresaw their like rental assistance to food assistance breakdown was in the upcoming years. Because it seemed fairly rental heavy. And I just wondered if that was continuing or what that would look like in the next 2 fiscal years.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for all the good feedback, commissioners. Any other particular questions about any of these proposals or kind of overarching for all of them?
No specific questions for me. I would make a comment. It seems like each one of them appears to be for a very worthy cause. Certainly appropriate for funding, given the budget concerns. So if anyone has specific concerns about the levels of funding that were granted last time, given the $55,000 budget, we should probably open that up for discussion.
I have posted, I'm sharing my screen with the questions. Can you see that?
Yes.
Well, small.
Oh, okay, thank you for that.
Sorry, just me.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's 11.
There you go. That's, yeah.
Let's go with 14 and then. Okay. So that's what, if you can, the commissioners can look over the questions and make sure I interpreted them correctly, or we can add additional questions here.
Actually, I had a question overall. I know that we don't have a ratified or, approved budget for these, but is it definitely set in stone for both years, or could we get an approved budget for, the first year and then look at it again, or have it reconsidered the following year, even though it's off cycle?
So Tina, you can, I'll attempt to answer, but please correct me if I'm wrong. You are recommending to the city council funding recommendations for the next 2 years, as a package. However, because it's a 2-year budget, it may be possible that next year the funding on the city side is no longer available, in which case the city council would announce to the agencies and to the commission and the agencies that we are not able to support the social service subgrant for the next fiscal year. But in terms of the commission itself opening up the applications mid-cycle to change the funding allocation, I don't believe that's possible, only because what you are forwarding to the city council is our 2-year recommendations.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that is correct, Margarita. In fact, the last 2-year funding cycle, when the proposal went back to council for fiscal year 21, the second year of the 2-year cycle, there was a clause stated in the council report that the city reserves a right to make basically modifications to funding based on, availability. So yes.
And Tina, I would think that the budget that we have, and we know that the budgets are really tough right now for the city, obviously because of COVID. And I believe the agencies are in the same boat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, our best case scenario is being able to fund at least at some level to be able to meet that 55,000 for each year is a proposal, but I don't think we're going to have any room to do anything differently than that. And hopefully those will hold with the current budgets.
That is correct, Commissioner Hoffman. Yes.
So if I'm hearing you right, Tina, we should expect that the funding may be adjusted downward, but we shouldn't expect any funding to be over and above 55,000.
In the current climate, that's probably a fairly accurate, conjecture at this point. And then the budget will be adopted in June, and we'll have opportunity council will have opportunity to look at the proposals in May. So we'll know more in the coming months. But at the current time, the 55,000 is allocated for each of the fiscal years of the 2-year funding cycle.
So I've got a question to throw out to the commission members. So at the risk of oversimplifying this whole process, and as somebody that, going through this for the first time, if we just wanted to decide that all of, all 6 of these are worthwhile, and just allocate the 55,000 across the board, at a reduced amount, but in the same ratio as what they've asked for it relative to the total amount, is that something that we could do? Or that is permissible? And did I make any sense?
No, yeah, I didn't know if Tina wanted to answer.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was posing that question to the commission or staff.
Oh, I'm sorry, both. Excuse me,
Okay.
both. Yeah.
Okay.
Whoever can answer it.
Yes, that's definitely an option. It's so the process, given that you're new to the process, so the study session, no action is taken by the commission. It's just to
Right. Just
have
to
a discussion.
discuss each applicant.
Correct. And then the next step is the public hearing that will be held at the next regular CIC meeting at 7:30. And you'll actually get an opportunity to formulate your recommendations at the March 11th meeting. So that's the process from here.
Okay.
And I mean, it is possible to do that, though, to answer your question, right? We, as a commission, we vote on what the recommendation is going to be. So.
And Chris, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I didn't mean to short circuit.
I just,
at the beginning of the meeting, but I think that, my understanding is we make recommendations to council. We will then take it up, I think, in March. And I'm not sure that that much has changed, but we'll welcome to have questions answered and get the feedback to figure out what maybe the funding should be a little different than it was last time. But it seems as though the ceiling is the same and the applicants are the same.
right. It's just, obviously I want to use all the resource that we have at hand, which is the full 55,000. And to be honest, I'm having a hard time, really saying one is more deserving than another out of this group.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I belong to another nonprofit group that's actually donated money already to some of these groups, and so I have my personal favorites, but they all do great work.
No, absolutely.
Agreed.
And yeah, Commissioner Brocker, in the past, if we are challenged with having more requests than dollars, we often go back to what's happened the previous year and then see how that settles out the amount, which is kind of what you were talking about. And, then we're funding consistently. And if, some groups don't have as much funding like Next Door Solutions. They've only been, I can't remember how many years back, Tina, but I think they're the newest of the group. And,
Yes.
And you and I agree. I hope that we're able to at least fund them at the same levels we funded them the last cycle, from my perspective, and finding the best, seeing if that's an option for us. So we do get to choose how to spend the dollars, and as Chair Kaufman mentioned, we do have a ceiling. So. So those are some of the thoughts we can consider.
I think that approach makes sense. I do have a different take to propose, which is some of the services that we're looking at here, the donation amount we're talking about, it comprises a fairly sizable proportion of their overall budget, versus others where they're a larger organization serving Santa Clara County greater area. So I think we could at least speak on, I don't know, this session or the subsequent one, like how far is the Campbell dollar going towards the overall mission of the group? Because I know there are some of these where, you know, I believe St. Lucie, for example, that's a pretty sizable portion of their overall effort that I thought was notable. So the other approach makes sense in like the continuity continuing forward, but I'd propose that as well, especially since some of the groups were looking for more funding to kind of make up the difference that they were having in their budgets.
That's a fair point.
Well, we look forward to hearing from the agencies during the public hearing portion of the CIC regular meeting. Any questions about anything this evening or you know, in the study session or next steps?
I don't think so on my end, unless anybody has any.
Okay. Well, that concludes the staff's presentation of the proposals.
Thank you very much, Tina. I move to adjourn the meeting unless anybody has any questions or comments. We can join back up at 7:30.
A water break?
Water break, it's the same Zoom
Yes, yes.
address, correct?
Stay
Okay.
on if we don't, I mean, do we need to log off?
No, it's gonna stay open. The channel's gonna stay open. You might want to mute if you're gonna walk around your house.
I'm gonna rock out for a few. All right.
So we're adjourning at 7:13, correct?
Correct.
Oh, I'll provide music then.
Hey.
There you go. Do it.
Save it for the meeting.
Sure.
I don't want to run afoul of any BMI or copyright laws. I don't want to cheat any writer or musician.
Yes.
No, it says right here on the agenda, you have a solo session.
I have to
I'm
go.
gonna step out for a sec and I will be back at 7.
Okay, same.
Hey, Cecil.
Yeah.
It's Marianne. I just had a question on, is there no chat function on this meeting, the call?
Yeah, so we disabled those because you can't have chats between, so we turn that off.
Okay, because it won't show up on YouTube or whatever the.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
So,
Yeah.
on a related matter, on a related note, I read about the San Jose that had a issue with a couple of council members were texting each other on
Right.
an item.
Brown Act, yeah.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
the item that was being discussed because it occurred to them that a couple of them had potential conflicts, so they started texting each other.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's exactly why we turned it off. In public meetings, yeah, you violate the Brown Act if you're having a private discussion during a public meeting amongst other elected or appointed officials.
yeah.
So yeah. It's a cool feature to have, but it gets us in trouble sometimes.
Yes.
that you who put the music on?
It was Cecil, our IT manager.
So I like it.
Yeah. All right, Chair Kaufman, I know we kind of talked about the drill, but I highlighted just the applicable portion that you'll be reading into the record.
Thank you. I need that.
No, you're fine.
It is 7:30. I will call to order the regular meeting, the Civic Improvement Commission, Thursday, February 11th, 2021. This regular meeting will be conducted via telecommunication and is compliant with the provisions of the Brown Act and the Governor's Executive Order N2920. This regular meeting will not be physically open to the public. The commission meeting, its members and participants will meet via Zoom from remote locations.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Brocker,
Here.
Commissioner Chase,
Here.
Commissioner Dooley, Commissioner Fields,
Here.
Commissioner Yoshikawa,
Here.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Here.
and Chairperson Kaufman.
Here.
Thank you.
And I noticed in terms of approval of the minutes, that normally I'd call for a motion to approve the minutes, but I did notice a mistake. Where during the vote of Vice Chair Davis, it listed my name instead as both chairperson and vice chair.
In the yes.
You just couldn't give the old job up.
And do it. Hanging on. So with that correction, suppose I'll ask for a motion for approval of the minutes from the January 14th, 2021 regular meeting of the Civic Improvement Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 14th, 2021 with the correction of Vice Chair is Commissioner Fields.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Brocker,
Aye.
Commissioner Chase,
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley, Commissioner Fields,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoshikawa,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Aye.
and Chairperson Kaufman.
Aye. Great. Next on the agenda is communications.
We received a piece of communication from one of your fellow commissioners, but it's listed under the good of the game. No other form of formal communications in terms of letters or requests from other agencies were received.
And we can discuss that during the good of the game portion. Any other communications?
No,
Oral requests?
none received, nor did we have any speakers sign up, register to speak.
Reports from representatives. Terry Perkins, Senior Museum Specialist.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having me, and happy 2021. So the museums continue to be closed, of course, due to COVID. So remaining staff, we're focused on doing online engagement programs as best we can. So we've got some fun ones coming up for our History at Home, which is our lecture series. It's one Friday per month. Try to do the last Friday, but it really depends on the speaker's availability. You can find all of our programs on campbellmuseums.com. And they're always $10 per registration. So as many people as want to join that Zoom link can hop on. Our first one for 2021 is coming up tomorrow night, and we have a local author and activist. Her name is Isana Sadr. She's written a book called A Door Between Us, and I apologize, on my report I put The Door Between Us, so I put the wrong definite article. So if you check out her book, it is A Door Between Us, and it weaves the history of kind of the Iranian Cultural Revolution in 2009, the Green Wave movement, with these two families that are dealing with kind of the complications of marriage and understanding cultural conservatism versus activism. So that should be really interesting and kind of a different break for us, having an author being interviewed. So it's my first time kind of running a book club. And then I'll list the March one for you, which is a historian from the Fort Ross Conservancy up in Sonoma. So he'll be detailing the history of Fort Ross, which is the Russian settlement off the coast of Sonoma, since I won't see you in March. So that should be really interesting as well. And then I'll be back in April to tell you the rest, but you can also read the report. And we have speakers booked out through June right now, and I hope to just kind of follow through July through probably November for the rest of the year. And then we're starting a new online program called Membership Monday. And so that will reward our museum members who have stuck with us and we're unable to really give them any benefits right now. So we're offering free online programs for them, but still available to the general public for $10 each. And our first Membership Monday program is going to be on March 1st. And we're partnering with the Jewish Family and Children's Services Holocaust Center out of San Francisco, and we're having a Holocaust survivor come speak to our audience. So that should be really interesting and powerful. And the JFCS is actually leading that program. So they will be hosting the Zoom and leading the question and answer and reflection period. And then we are also still contributing as much as we can as to our social media engagement. Our collection specialist does a great job putting together what's in the box videos, and those are on our YouTube channel. And that allows us to really share our collection and also get an idea for what preservation issues we are facing when she pulls out a box that maybe hasn't been opened in 20 years. And she has got some interns who research what are the items in the box, and she creates these really quirky, fun videos, and then puts back the items into the box in the best way possible for preservation and doesn't crowd them. And now we're finding how much we need to spend on new collection boxes to be able to really preserve these items. We also do Type Tuesday, Throwback Thursday. We're trying to do thematic social engagement for the themed month. So Black History Month, we've done a number of posts on Facebook and Instagram, and we will do the same for Women's History Month, etc. We've got our Ainsley House tour, which is up and live, and that has been pretty successful. We've had people contact us from around the country, so I'm really pleased about that. I'm going to be working with a university in Oklahoma with their students who are learning about how to take care of historic houses, and they found us just through our 360 virtual tour and Facebook, so that should be pretty interesting. And then I am going to be doing some live tours of the historical museum for some school groups. So some actual kind of live walkthrough tours, and that should be fun as well. I'll have to learn how to hold a phone steady and Zoom while I talk. We still have the garden, the Ainsley House garden, available for rentals. We're slightly optimistic because we're an outdoor venue that we still can keep the rentals we have. We have bookings pretty much May through October. The summer months of July, which is normally hot, is a little bit less filled, but For now, our rentals are holding. We're not really sure what the county guidelines will be for COVID. We're encouraging everybody who has an event either booked from last year and they rescheduled to 2021 or new reservations to really keep their guest list, at a minimum under 60 and really keep in mind our spacing so that they can do social distancing per kind of family groups or guest groups. And we're not really sure what the guidelines will be for receptions. So right now we can't have a full, meal reception. I think you can have prepackaged food. So we're kind of playing it by ear, a little bit nervous that some of the people in May might not be able to have the event of their choice. And I don't know where that leaves us. But for now, being an outdoor venue, we've had a lot of inquiries, which is great. So we're taking it kind of week by week and hoping that the county will open up and vaccines will be a little more prominent and we can do a little more come spring and summer. And then our Museum Foundation Board is continuing to recruit new members. They are planning some spring events like a Mother's Day tea. Again, it will be a virtual event, but they're very active and trying to recruit new members in order to help build up their membership program and to support the museums as best they can. And that is my report.
Thank you, Carrie. Real quick question on the history at home. If you register, do you have to register separately for each discussion?
You do, unfortunately, because the way our system is set up to take payments, it's very convoluted and it's basically like you're buying a digital product. You can do it all at once, though. I kind of take that back. You can say you want to buy a ticket for one in February, one in April, one in May, and it'll check you out at that time. So I do kind of take that back. It's not the best system. You can always email me because I'm the one who maintains the reservation list as well. So I'm always happy to sign people up as a pro bono and you can check it out as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
So thank you.
Any
Carrie,
questions?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Carrie, what's the museum's YouTube channel? What name?
It's just Campbell Museums. So you go to YouTube and just type in Campbell Museums. Pretty easy.
Great.
We also have a link on our website. So if you can't find it with YouTube, you can go directly to campbellmuseums.com and we've got our social media links there.
Oh, because the link in the agenda is missing a letter.
Oh, is it? Sorry. You can see I did that very fast. I apologize. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Carrie? Okay, thank you very much. Sounds like some great discussions and interesting. Public art scavenger hunt. I believe looks like it's next on the agenda. Did we want to?
Yeah, did you want, so the reason, Carrie, the reason I have this sub-bulleted, the last month, as part of the presentation, a discussion of one of our subcommittees, the Explore Art, a Public Art Subcommittee, which you're familiar with, there was a couple of ideas being proposed, and one of them was around a potential public art scavenger hunt that came up, and just the concept was thrown out, and we knew you were going to be on screen today, and we thought we'd at least post it to share the idea with you. And I did meet with the public art subcommittee on Monday, and we discussed potentially inviting you to the next meeting or a meeting where this idea will be developed, but wanted to take the opportunity that you'd be on screen to kind of just tell you about this idea that's kind of come up, and that maybe this the public art subcommittee may develop. And I don't know if you know of anything in other cities or something that immediately comes to mind or anything like that, but yeah, like minds wanted to get together.
I'm really happy to work with the subcommittee on this. I know that there are a number of other cities that do this. I know Walnut Creek has an embedded Google form on their website, and they list a picture and people can fill it out. Other cities have downloadable PDFs, and they encourage people to use social media. It's pretty common. So I'm really happy to develop something like that with the subcommittee. It'd be fun. It encourages people to explore Campbell and also highlights a lot of what we have that people may not know, right? Murals, other landmarks, sculptures, plaques. We've got all those plaques downtown as well. So I think it'd be a great way to showcase what Campbell has that people may not know.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that we took the opportunity to ask you, because I knew you'd know something like this, that it's a common practice or program in other cities, because it's good to benefit from established programs. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, we'll be sure to invite you to our next subcommittee meeting.
Yes. We will be interfacing with you, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
Next item on the agenda, Wong Erling, Senior Services Supervisor.
Thank you, Chair Kaufman and members of the Civic Improvement Commission. Good to see you again. So along the same lines of what Carrie mentioned about the museum, the community center is still closed to indoor activities. So the majority of what we're offering at the adult center 50 plus is virtual programming. We do plan to launch some outdoor exercise classes in the spring. And of course, we continue to offer the senior nutrition program via takeout meals, where seniors walk up and also come through the curbside pickup. So the three updates I have for you are as follows. First of all, I would like to announce the retirement of one of our very longtime staff, Donna Rice. She is our senior services coordinator, and she'll be retiring at the end, essentially the end of this month, officially on March 1st. Since 1984, Donna really has made just monumental contributions in the development of the program. She's been with us since the Adult Center started in the basement of the the library. And she, after moving over to the community center, she, along with my predecessor, really created and developed a wonderful, wonderful senior program that prior to COVID was serving a membership of 1,100 seniors. Donna's primary responsibilities have been overseeing classes and trips. And I really don't want to understate that, because these are just an enormous part of the adult center operations, and the classes are our major revenue source. So to have an employee of her caliber with us for 37 years speaks volumes about, the city, the senior community, and she will be just dearly missed. But I truly congratulate her on a well-deserved retirement, and she's brought just joy and changed so many lives in the many years that she's been with us. But I just wanted to share that with you this evening. Then the next item was my update on income tax assistance, which has definitely changed even since I wrote my report on February 8th. So the ARP Tax Aid Program will provide tax assistance at the Campbell Community Center. However, they are already at capacity. So they are providing assistance during this period, but because of the low contact model, they're not able to serve the same number of residents as they have in the past, which you see on my report. In past years, they've served around 450 clients, and with the COVID restrictions, they're really limited to about a third of that target number. So unfortunately, we have closed our registration off even now, and And the irony is the program has not really even started. They're still waiting on approval from the AARP national office to even open up for this low contact model where residents come and drop off their documents for scanning, and then they come back to have their income tax, their completed income tax signed. So unfortunately, we're not an ongoing resource, and I'm looking into different resources, hopefully available in the city, through the city of San Jose. But this will be really a big impact. And we're talking to about 15 to 20 older adults who call us on a daily basis. And these are seniors that are not able to, they're not tech savvy. Some of them don't even drive, and they have somebody else bring them to the center typically. So there will be a tremendous impact, and I'm just very sad that this has resulted in such a service gap for such a needy population. Tax aid is open to anyone. I don't want to give you the impression that it's only available for older adults, but the fact is the majority of the individuals that come for tax assistance are older adults, but it is available for anyone 18 plus. And then finally, I guess this is very good news. So in light of Donna's retirement, we have seen an increased need for social service help in the areas of housing, home health, food, legal aid. We are bringing back our former case manager, Patricia Martinez, and she will be starting early next week. And her main role will be to connect seniors and their families to community resources. The primary way that she will be very helpful is even fielding a lot of the calls that we're getting. We're getting so many calls with people needing a variety of different support to get them through these difficult times. So I'm truly grateful that she'll be able to come back and help us at a time that we're going to really be facing a staff shortage for indefinitely. So I'm pleased to give you that update. Any questions about any of these various items? Comments?
Sounds like Donna will be sorely missed. So on behalf of the commission, give her congratulations on retirement. Welcome back, Patricia Martinez, and thank you, Tina. You always do such a great job presenting and do such great work.
Thank you very much.
Any comments or questions for Tina?
Yeah, my only request is please don't refer individuals to our income tax program. They'll just be disappointed and rejected. They're very hard calls to field right now. Thank you for that.
Tina?
Reports from staff, Margarita.
Sorry, was there a question for, did I hear somebody say something?
Yeah, sorry. Quick question for Tina. If you find any other resources for seniors for income taxes, if you can share with the commission, many of us are being asked often if they know we have anything to do with the city of Campbell, they ask. So
I sure will. I sure
cool.
will. And just to reiterate that the income tax program is helping individuals, not the number that they previously helped. So I don't want this to be misconstrued. They're doing what they can. Thank you again.
Anybody else? I don't want to cut anyone off here. Other than Commissioner Hoffman. Okay, reports from staff, Margarita.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. Do you see a table in front of you?
It's a little small.
I do.
Just
Table
small. Okay.
Is it just me? Am I the only one?
No, it's not
a little
You're
small.
good.
All right. So as discussed at the January 14th Civic Improvement Commission meeting, The city council is receiving its mid-year budget adjustment report on Tuesday. And the budget deficit due to lower revenues is at $7.5 million. And this table outlines how what the city manager is proposing as the ways that we will be addressing that gap. And so this is his plan that's going to be presented and discussed with the city council on Tuesday to address that 7.5 million gap. There is a recommended use of the economic fluctuations reserve. The city has a reserve fund just for this type of fiscal situation. And we are asking for a one-time $1 million use of that fund, as well as other reserve funds that we have, workers' compensation, and some proceeds that we have from either one of them is the corporation yard sale. We sold a part of the land to developer. So that's some of the money that we're proposing to return to the general fund. Some of the capital improvement projects that have either had project savings or are not going to get funded due to just staffing shortfalls, we're returning some of that money. There's a recreation donation fund that has money in it that we're returning to the general fund. So some of these you're seeing is just return to the general fund of different accounts and savings that we've had that we're now just contributing back to the general fund. There are some labor proposals, such as the recent CPOA stands for Campbell Police Officers Association, and CPCA is Campbell Police Civilian Employees Association. And they had recent contract negotiations, which led to the $87,000 in savings, as well as some savings from retirement contributions. The COVID-19 related savings have to do with stimulus or funding that we've received. And as well as some service reductions from departments that are not non-labor, so not having to do with layoffs, mostly having to do with either we have vacancies, we have vacancies or reduction in workload that's reducing to which is leading to these savings. And there is a line item in there listed that's called additional labor reductions or other actions, and that line item is for potential budget adjustments that are going to have to be done via labor reductions that are we don't know what they are yet. I think that the city will be talking to all of its employees in terms of concessions or potential position reductions and in order to help the city meet the $7.5 million deficit. And in my speaking with the city manager this afternoon, the goal of this mid-year budget correction is so that we don't have to then start off the next fiscal year with this kind of gap. And because we're even though the council is going to vote on this at the mid-year, by the time some of these actions come into place, it's going to be March or April. So we're really trying, we really have only 3 or 4 months to achieve these savings so that we can balance our books by June 30th. So the meeting is on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. This memo is on our website, and it has various attachments related to our revenue projections and why it is that we have this significant decline. It's not just sales tax, but it's the hotel tax. It's some property tax declines. There was a lot of hard hits to the city, not just Campbell, all cities. But in Campbell, what it translated to was 7.5 million. And this table in front of you is what the city is recommending as the budget adjustments that the city council will consider and vote. And it is possible that other discussions come up on Tuesday as proposed by the city council, but we wouldn't know what those are. So yeah, we are anticipating the discussion to see what the outcome is so that we can balance our books. Any questions? not to be.
Now for the bad news.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to say now for the bad news.
Yeah, yes.
It looks a little daunting, but any questions for Margarita? Thank you, Margarita.
Yeah, thank you.
New business. We've been waiting for the social service subgrant presentations.
Okay, so we have our agencies that are all standing by. And we have communicated with each of our agency representatives in terms of inviting them to listen to your conversation this study session, as well as inviting them to present to you during this public hearing. So this is the portion of the meeting where we're opening the public hearing to the members of the public and to the agencies. For those of you that were present during this study session, there was questions that were asked. There were questions that the commissioners had throughout the process. So some of them are related to your specific agency applications, and some of them are overall questions for every single agency. So we will take them alphabetically. When I've been in touch with you via email, I did ask if you can have a brief presentation. And I think I've highlighted 2 questions for you to each address during your presentations. So you can unmute yourself, and you do have the ability to screen share if you would like to screen share. You don't have to. It's up to you, but you will have the ability to do that, and as well as unmute yourself and speak. So we will start with Catholic Charities. Do we have a representative from Catholic Charities?
Yes. My name is Wanda Hale. I'm the program manager, and it says I'm Catholic, but I'm not. So I have no idea why that's coming up. But again, I'm Wanda Hale. I'm the program manager, and I've been with the program for I'd say about 15 years. I wanted to just give you a quick overview again. We are the advocates for the people who live in long-term care. And long-term care encompasses nursing homes, assisted living, and the small licensed board and care facilities. So if, say, your neighbor was having some type of issue, maybe you were worried that you hadn't seen your neighbor in a month or whatever, an elderly neighbor, you would call Adult Protective Services. If your aunt or maybe your mother is in a nursing home or an assisted living, and there was some type of concern that you had, you would call the long-term care ombudsman. We're an unduplicated service in Santa Clara County, and our mission really is to improve the quality of care and the quality of life for people who live in these facilities. And a lot of that, of course, concerns abuse. We're a free program. We come out of the Older Americans Act, and we're made up of staff and volunteers.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. We did have one question that was asked specifically about your agency from one of our commissioners. Can you provide an example of how you serve clients, like share an impact story or an example of how you serve your clients?
And you're on mute, just in case.
Oh, I'm on mute. Oh.
No.
Oh, Ms. Hale, Wanda, Ms. Hale, yes.
Wanda's on mute.
So prior to the pandemic, we would go into facilities. Every facility has an ombudsman assigned to it. And we would receive complaints via phone, and also mandated reporters would report to us. So now that COVID-19 has entered into all of our lives. I think prior to this, unless you had a family member in a facility, you probably didn't think about this that much. But you have seen some of the issues on TV. It has been out there about the large outbreaks, the issues in long-term care due to the population, the poor infection control prior to COVID-19. So our environment has really changed completely. So how are we serving these people who are in this situation right now? We, prior to the latest surge, we were doing outside visits. We would meet with people who live in facilities outside with proper distancing and proper PPE. The latest surges during the holidays, we needed to pull back some. The Ombudsman now we're getting our second round of vaccine. We have obtained PPE and 95 masks through our CARES Act funding, and we're going back out to facilities. But in the meantime, we are purchasing and have purchased tablets that we send into facilities, say, to communicate with the resident who has an issue, or maybe we want to see the environment. Is it a safe environment? Is it clean? Are the residents getting bathed? And, things like that. So we've kind of switched. We, in the past, if you look at some of our previous numbers, we were seeing more, as we call the people who live in the facility, residents. And it's kind of flipped a little bit. We are providing more technical assistance to facilities, to families, to residents about vaccines, about visitation, and those type of things now.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of, and I know we emailed a little bit about this in terms of in your current cycle application, you proposed to serve, I think it was 500 clients. And your actual clients served, Campbell clients served, was significantly lower. And the commission question is like, is there a reason for this difference between the proposed clients versus actual clients served?
Yes, because when we proposed it, there was no pandemic. And as you can imagine, the regulations have changed completely. There was a certain point where the Ombudsman program, due to regulations and everyone, we were prohibited from entering facilities. And of course, there was a great fear too amongst everyone about catching it. Also, there are people who are mandated reporters, and what we have noticed too, and statewide, is mandated reporting has dropped by 41% this year. So the people who are obligated by law to report to us are not doing so. And we have had little access, physical access to our facilities. We are still investigating complaints. We do a lot of work via the phone, like I'm sure most agencies are. We're kind of put in that position right now.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from commissioners?
Thank you, Wanda. Sounds like, I know Catholic Charities has a history of doing great work. Sounds like it, especially during these challenging times. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Health Trust. Ms. Johnson, hi.
Hi, thank you, commissioners and staff, for arranging for this opportunity for us to speak with you about our application. Just briefly, the Health Trust, if you don't know, is a nonprofit organization that provides a number of services throughout the county of Santa Clara. One of those programs is our Meals on Wheels program. Our traditional service is hot meals 5 days a week. We provide meal service on the weekends also by delivering it on Friday. The clients that we generally serve are our seniors. They're homebound. They are unable to do their own cooking for the most part or do their own traveling for groceries. They don't have easy access to transportation, and they don't have the funding for like ordering Ubers and cabs and things like that. We apply all of our grant funds to extremely low or very low income clients. In fiscal year 20, we served 214,000 people or meals. That was up 100,000 over the previous fiscal year. And this year, we are projecting that we will be serving 320,000 meals throughout the county. The impact of COVID was enormous on our organization. Literally, we went from serving 1,700 meals a week, and 3 weeks later, we were serving 9,000 meals. We redirected staff from other departments. We begged for volunteers. The city, the sheriffs, all different kinds of people jumped in to help us with deliveries because we lost a great deal of our volunteers overnight. We peaked at serving 12,000 meals a week in June, and we're still serving approximately 7,000 meals a week. When we budgeted for this year, we were more optimistic about the COVID going away. We thought we might serve 200,000 meals this year, but it looks like it's going to be over 300,000. We were extremely fortunate in that we were able to just start serving the meals and looking for the money later. So we feel very proud that we were able to provide this service and still continue to provide it for people in the community. We not only provided for elderly people, but during our COVID period, which continues right now, we also will provide food for people who have COVID and they're quarantined in their home, or they're quarantined, or people who are at very, very high risk that normally might have been able to do their own shopping but cannot because of the risk of COVID. The grant application, I know there was a little bit of confusion, so I just want to kind of quickly go over that. We're proposing, we think, well, first of all, our first 6 months, we served 16 clients already. Our goal was 20. I just ran those numbers again this morning. We're already over 21. And so we anticipate we'll serve about 40 clients total this year by June in Campbell. What we anticipate, we think the numbers might go down a little bit next year as people get vaccines and things like that. So we're anticipating we may serve a total of 30 clients in Campbell. We're asking you to help us fund 20 of those clients. And we're only asking for the cost of providing 3,000 meals for those clients. That's an average of 150 meals a year. Some clients get their meals delivered 7 days a week, sometimes get it 3 days a week. People stop, then they come back on, they find other services, different things happen. So it's extremely difficult to project exactly what we'll serve, but most likely it will be far in excess of the 3,000 meals. The $20,000 would cover our vendor cost for those meals. We are very, very careful about who we work with. We picked our vendor. It's a local San Jose vendor. They make all of their food fresh. They don't add any chemicals or any extra salt. They make their own pasta, and we serve only whole wheat pasta to our clients. We serve things like salmon, pork loin, very, very healthy, very good meals, all with low sodium counts. And one of the changes that we have made recently due to COVID is because we had to increase the number of people we served, we had to go to delivering some of our meals frozen once a week. So we would give a client a packet of 7 meals or 14 meals, depending on their need. What we were very careful to do, we're very familiar with our regular database. What we were very careful to do was talk with each of the clients to make sure that that would work for them. And we've kept a number of our more frail and needy clients on the hot meal service. For example, we have an elderly person who's 82 years old. He actually lives in Campbell. He's blind and he's fairly self-sufficient, but just the having the hot meal delivered that he can just sit down and eat it without trying to reheat it, So we've really been careful to try to provide that service for the most needy clients. We also do wellness checks. If a client isn't there, the driver will call in. If we can't reach the client, we will contact their emergency number. We also provide things like birthday gifts, handmade lap quilts for their birthday. We have a pet food program. If they don't have enough money to pay for the pet food, we can arrange to help them with that. Overall, we're really more than a meal. And one of the things that we're very worried about next year is all of the nonprofits in our community knew that there was large numbers of people that needed to be served in our county, but for whatever reason, they were not reached. With all the publicity around COVID, we saw this huge increase in the number of people that needed to be served. And some of them, of course, will get vaccinated and be able to go out and take care of themselves. But there's a large number of people that we expect to stay on this program. So we do expect, what our normal was 107,000 meals a year. This year, 320. I still think we're looking at 250,000 meals next year. And the federal funding, some of it may continue for a little while, but we're very concerned about the funding because basically we don't want to drop these clients. So far, in the 7 years I've been with the Health Trust, we've never taken a client off because we lost funding or our grant funds ran off. We just go out and try to do additional fundraising. And I think I answered your question about the number of meals and the COVID impact. Do you have any other questions for me?
I wanted to just, I don't know if the specifics on it or just kind of high level, but what changes have been made as far as COVID and the protocol of the meal, preparation or delivery, and how are you keeping these vulnerable population who are receiving the meals safe?
Very, very many changes. So immediately we were able to provide all of our drivers with masks. They've always had gloves and hand sanitizer in their cars, but we upped those supplies, even though it was a little hard to get them in the very beginning. We instituted new protocols for our drivers. So they were to arrive at the house, call, and then let them know that they were dropping the food on the porch or a table next to it. And then the food was individually bagged. And then they would step back at least 10 feet and wait until the person picked up the food and took it inside. Okay. We also this year delivered, early in the year, we did send out masks to as many clients as we could. But for our holiday gifts for all of our clients living alone, they received a bag with hand sanitizer, 2 different types of masks, warm gloves and socks and some puzzles and things like that. And many of them really appreciated that. As far as the cleanliness, our vendor himself has upped his cleaning and sanitizing process. All of his staff wear masks all day while they're cooking the food. And we have had our auditor go in and check that to make sure it's happening. At our food basket, which we used to allow people to come in and grocery shop in there at no cost, we started bagging the groceries and serving them outside to the clients. We do a deep clean in the building every 3 months, and every night all the surfaces are wiped down with disinfectant, and we have 3 hand washing stations. And then on top of that, we upped our janitorial service from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. So we feel really, really good. One of the things that we were extremely worried about was if someone in our food basket, which is where our drivers go to pick up the meals to deliver, caught COVID, we would literally have to shut the entire place down. And we have not had to do that. No one has caught COVID, and those who have been exposed are immediately quarantined and are not allowed back to work for 2 weeks or until they get 2 negative tests. So most of us are working from home. Our drivers have been very brave during this time. Volunteers started coming back over the summer, and they're still sticking with us, and they're just being very careful. We explained in several policies and notices that our clients are much more at risk just because of their age, and how important, the cleanliness and the masking and the social distancing is for them. So I feel very comfortable that we're following very safe protocols.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Lisa, sounds like with the increase in numbers and the losses in staff and help, along with the stories of impact, your presentation is truly inspirational. So,
well, I want to say that I've always known that our community is very giving, but the nonprofits in our community jumped in together with the county and city governments, and of course, help with the federal government. And we were able to really serve the people who needed it here. And we've all been very, very proud to be part of that effort. And, we still are seeing indications from county meetings that I'm in on food security that they understand that this may not go away and just drop off right away. So they're looking plans to, prioritize those needs more. So thank you.
Should be done. Anyone else?
All right, our next, was there a question? No, okay. Our next presenter is from Live Oak Adult Day Center. Ms. Peterson.
Hi, thank you, commissioners, for giving me this opportunity to come present tonight. I would like to try and share my screen, and I have a little 1-minute video. So let me see if I can do that. Live Oak Adult Day Services has been operating in Santa Clara County for over 37 years. We offer a structured day program for dependent seniors who have a variety of age-related illnesses, including Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, other dementias, history of stroke, and depression. Our mission is twofold: to provide a quality day program designed to enhance the lives of frail dependent seniors and to provide respite for their caregivers. The program consists of daily exercise, cognitive stimulation, art and music, and socialization. Since the shelter-in-place order, we have been offering remote services to our clients and their caregivers through telephone calls and a daily 2-hour virtual online program. We hope to open up to in-person services when it's safe to do so. Thank you. So, yeah, a picture's worth 1,000 words, I suppose. I notice I need a haircut again. Anyway, so Live Oak has been around for a long time, and we've been doing in-person services up until March 15th, right? And we had we have a very good quality program that's designed to try and help people stay brighter longer through exercise, good nutrition, cognitive stimulation. We try to provide a great socialization environment for where they can socialize. And at the same time, we're giving their caregivers respite, right? Either the chance to go back to work if they need, to run errands, to sleep, whatever they need to do to rest and to rejuvenate, so that when their loved one comes home, they can pick up the ball again. So the challenge, it was after when COVID came on, when we closed down, it was pretty heartbreaking for us to think about what these caregivers were facing. So we were pretty lucky in that by April 6th, we had our mini program up and running. So we were able to do all the same things except for the food over the internet. And we have had consistently about 25 clients on our Zoom program each day. The problem is that okay, so first of all, you're only providing 2 hours of respite instead of 6, which is what the program used to be. And the other problem is that many of our seniors are not connected. All right, so this kind of threw us into the whole digital divide issue, and do people have access? Do they have internet? We also run into something different, which is folks who have dementia at certain levels get too distracted by a screen, and they can't really interact with the screen. It's not doable for them. So when the pandemic started, we were at 125 clients coming daily. We're down to 25 that we can do online. And the challenge is, what do you do with the rest? So Live Oak has always had sort of this family feel to it. So we immediately were making connections with all the families within the first 2 weeks. And that has continued since March. We've kept up with wellness calls, talked to family members, seen what kind of referrals they might need, connected them to Meals on Wheels if they needed, whatever they needed. We just kept, we've continued to keep in contact with them. We were able to secure some grant money for more devices. So we're able now to provide a device that has an internet built into it, and with our grant money, we can pay for the internet service. With these devices, we'll be able, hopefully, to get more people onto our 2-hour program, but also we've started a one-to-one kind of program with staff, talking one-to-one with somebody who gets too distracted by too many pictures on the screen. And those started up about a month ago, and they've been very, very valuable. We've also started in January, we started virtual support caregiver support groups, and they keep growing. We keep getting more and more people on. We started with 3, we had 8 last week. And the biggest issue that's coming up, is the isolation that people are feeling and the loneliness that the caregivers are feeling, because there's nobody to talk to. They can't go out. They're having a harder time visiting with their friends, and the person that they're caregiving for has dementia, so it's a whole different level of communication there. So where does that leave Live Oak? So we're hoping to open when everything's safe. We're keeping our fingers crossed for all the vaccinations. Our clients are average age of 87. So we're hoping they get vaccinated. And as soon as that happens, we should be next in line and to get vaccinated and get out, be available for them. In terms of Campbell residents and the numbers that, the numbers that we've had when we've applied for the subgrants, they're not very large, right? So we're looking at 10 max, something like that we're asking for funding for you to help us fund. We continue to come back to you for funding because Live Oak is one of the only fee-for-service places. It's nonprofit, and we don't ask families for much money. We try to supplement it with everything else that we can find. And Campbell has been really, really helpful. So the numbers that we've had with Campbell, I believe it was low last year. I think it was 7 maybe. We had 7 going into this year. A couple of great stories. This is just good examples of why Live Oak is needed. One of our folks is a 22-year-old. She's the great-granddaughter of an 80-something-year-old woman, and due to some different tragedies and things in the family, she was left with the care of her great-grandmother. So when she came to us, she was incredibly grateful to find us because now she could keep her grandma at home, bringing her to our day program each day and allow her to stay living with her while she went to work. So she's a 22-year-old. She was a law student trying to go to law school and go to work. And because of us, she was able to keep doing that. Another client resident was, it was a mother and daughter. The mother had been a single mom and had raised her daughter alone. So the two of them were pretty tight. And when the mom started to lose her ability to function, the daughter placed her in assisted living. While the mother, every time she saw her daughter, wanted desperately to come home. So the daughter found us and was able to, by having her mother come to our day program, she was actually able to bring her mother back home. My other story, which I told last time I visited you all, was the one about the woman who had an 87-year-old mother and was leaving her home alone and came home one day and found that her 87-year-old mom, who loves peanut butter, was eating out of a peanut butter jar. And the daughter realized that she remembered she had hidden the peanut butter on one of the top shelves. And the only way her mother must have gotten to the peanut butter was to climb on the counter while she was gone. So those kind of day-to-day situations, led her to us. And she actually has been with us for at least 8 years. And her mother had been with us for 8 years. That since COVID, of course, these folks are all at home. And, luckily we've been able to keep connected with these folks. And actually the woman whose mother was found on the cupboard or eating peanut butter, she's now in our caregiver support group and is extremely grateful for the support she's receiving from other folks who can completely relate to what she's dealing with.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I thank you for your presentation. And I think you very thoroughly answered the questions that the commission had regarding the impact of COVID on your operations and clients, difference between the number of clients proposed to serve and what you're actually serving, and whether you have a hybrid program or how you changed your operations in terms of the support groups and now that you can't do in-person activities. So thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
And thank you. Such important work for segment of the population that's most vulnerable. So really, really thankful that you're doing it,
Thank you. Yes.
especially during COVID.
Thanks.
Okay, our next presentation is from, let me get my, Next Door Solutions. Hi, Ms. Dancer.
Hi, I'm Jordan Dancer. I'm the grants manager at Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence. We are an autonomous nonprofit based in San Jose, and we serve victims and survivors of domestic and intimate partner violence that reside in the county of Santa Clara. This year, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. It's kind of a crazy year to celebrate, but we're celebrating it anyway. Domestic violence is a violation of human rights. It's gender-based violence, and it's prevalent in every community, and it affects everyone. Those whose lives are characterized by domestic or intimate partner violence, they face very unique and difficult obstacles to achieving safety, stability, and greater self-sufficiency. Per the CDC, who's focused on COVID right now, but they say that domestic violence is a preventable public health epidemic, with 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men having experienced violence by an intimate partner sometime in their lifetime. And even here in the county, the Public Health Department small city report said that 8% of Campbell adult residents have also experienced violence by an intimate partner. Our services at Next Door Solutions are based upon the survivor-defined advocacy model, which positions us to work with the survivor so they can identify their needs. And then using that knowledge, we can work with them to help them address immediate, short, and long-term goals with very specific services. And we propose to provide 40 adult residents of the city of Campbell with services from 1 or more of the following programs. Through community and systems advocacy services, survivors will maintain or increase their level. Survivors will increase safety strategies, access to supportive resources to sustain safety and stability, and increase knowledge of their legal rights and how the systems work. Through self-sufficiency case management, they will work on their unique goals to maintain or increase their level of self-sufficiency through 8 essential life domains. And through support group services, they will increase resilience, knowledge of supportive services and resources in the community, increase safety strategy, and most importantly, they will reduce isolation. During COVID-19, we were able to pivot pretty quickly during shelter-in-place mandates to providing services remotely, primarily through phone calls, one-on-one phone calls, and through emails. We do certain video conferencing, but we're finding, like with some of the other agencies, particularly because we deal with a population that tends to be of lower income, there's immigrants, refugees, asylees in there, that there maybe is a lack of computer savvy or other technology or that digital divide. And so that we're finding that primarily through phone calls is how we're doing the majority of our services. We do see a limited number of clients at our community office where they can access the pantry and also use the computer lab if they need to. We've been able to keep, even though it's not part of this proposal, we've been able to keep our shelter next door operational 24/7 throughout, as well as our crisis hotline. But we've had to set up some different types of mandates. Before someone can actually stay at the shelter, they have to be tested for COVID and come back with negative results. So that means them and children if they're old enough to be tested. And during the meantime, then we shelter them in a hotel and provide them similar services. So an advocate is in touch with them. If they need food, they can have grocery gift cards, or we give them gift cards to local restaurants and eateries and that sort of thing. They have access to an advocate 24/7 through the hotline. And then we've also had to reduce the number of beds at our shelter by county mandates. So we have less beds there. We do have 6 bedrooms, but we normally have 19 and we're down to about 14 beds right now. It just depends on the size of the family because we have now like 1 family per room. But it's surprising, and when the pandemic first stopped, we thought, oh, the hotline's just going to go crazy. But it got eerily quiet. And we were really, really concerned about that. We weren't sure what was happening. And then as we began to hear from survivors, what we heard was it was much more difficult for them to reach out for help because they were now having to shelter in place with their abuser who watched them constantly. And besides the normal threats that would come to them about different things, they weren't allowed maybe to go shopping, or if they did go shopping, they were being threatened like, if you bring COVID into this house, I'm going to kill you. I mean, nasty stuff. So within maybe by June, we were back up to normal calls, and now they're even increasing above what was normally on there. We've also become a part of what is known as Safe Chat. It's a chat system for domestic violence service providers, and we're part of that now, that more clients can reach us there, and we're promoting that through our social media sites. And we do have a outreach and volunteer coordinator who does do outreach, but because of shelter-in-place mandates and safe distancing and all that, we're not able to be in the public as much as we want to. So we really do rely upon posting things to our website, out in social media. We recently did an event at the end of January. It was for Spanish speakers. And because we were able to use Facebook Live, we were able to reach out to more than 2,000 people, and we had over 1,000 participants that listened in on that. And that's still available through our Facebook page for Spanish speakers. So we're finding that social media is a great way to reach out. We always continue also to work with other community service providers because we know that their clients may need our services and our clients may need their services. So there's a constant cross-reference that's going there. In addition to the services that we're providing, any resident of the city of Campbell that identifies as a survivor or a victim of domestic violence, they can access any of our other services, which could be our shelter and the hotline. It could be our domestic violence Housing First program, which either helps somebody find housing or keeps them in their housing, especially if the abuser has left and they're not able to afford that rent. We can provide financial assistance to either help them stay in that home or stay in that home until they can find something that they can afford. We also, since the last time we were funded by the city, we've added no-cost attorneys. They used to be on site, now they do it by phone. But they can do consultations with the clients about their DV situation and also provide no-cost, limited scope representation. And we've also added therapy services for the individual, for the survivor, for her family, or his family, because we serve men as well, and also for the children. And when we were funded the last period for fiscal year 20 and 21, we had not been funded by the city of Campbell for a while. We had not applied for a number of years. And so when we came back, the amount of money that the city had to give out at the time was pretty much already allocated to all the other wonderful agencies that they had been supporting. But because the city felt that our services were really important services to support for the residents, they funded us at $2,500 each year for the 2 years. And so we're asking this year that we be considered for the full minimum of the $5,000. We appreciate any support, but we really would appreciate $5,000 each year. I want to tell you, let me see, a little bit about our outreach and all that I discussed. We try and track outcomes for each of our programs. There's generally surveys that we ask clients to fill out at different times depending on what type of service that they've had. I have to say during this past year with COVID, one of the obstacles, the barriers that we've been running up against is we normally handed that survey to somebody in a paper form and they would fill it out and put it in a Dropbox. But because we're now doing everything remotely, we've set these surveys up as SurveyMonkey, but we have to end the service, and then we hope that the client will go log on somewhere, either through their phone or a laptop, and then go to SurveyMonkey. But we're finding once more there's this digital divide. And then maybe it's even a time thing, and they have all the good intentions of doing that. So we're still looking at different ways that we can pull in the data that we need about the impact of our services. We know anecdotally that they're really resonating with our clients. In fact, let me give you a couple of quotes here. This is a quote from someone that was in one of our support groups. She said, "After I left my marriage of more than 30 years, I was devastated, confused, and broken down. After attending the support group, sharing with and listening to the others, and learning from our facilitator, I started to heal.
Thank you.
I became more self-assured in feeling that I was finally the master of my own fate. Today, I enjoy every moment I am living. I still attend my support group because I want to get my weekly dose of strength. Thank you, Nextdoor Solutions, for helping me get my strength of self back." And if I can do just two more, they're shorter. From someone from our self-sufficiency program, she says, "Thanks to the help I received through case management services, I am now more independent than ever and living in a home free from abuse with an income that I am able to control." And someone from our community and systems advocacy services said, "I went to Nextdoor Solutions and met with an advocate who asked me to describe my situation. This was the first time I was able to talk with someone in this way, who could listen fully. Putting it into words was tremendously helpful to clarify in my own mind that we were in great danger and couldn't continue this way."
Thank you.
In closing, I just want to say we're on a mission to end domestic violence in a moment and for all time. Any questions?
Thank you. Your presentation was
Thank you.
heartbreaking and powerful, and you make our job very difficult.
Okay.
So important, the services you give to the residents of Campbell.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dancer. Our next agency is St. Lucy's. Do we have a representative from St. Lucy's?
Yes.
Ms. Orens.
Yes. Hi, Margarita. Thank you, commissioners, for this opportunity. My name is Robin Orens. I'm representing St. Lucy's. I've been an active member of the conference since I retired in 2015. And prior to that, I helped the conference in various ways and also worked with the Santa Clara County Council of St. Vincent de Paul, which is our overall organization in the county. And there's 22 conferences in the county. The society is actually a worldwide organization and helps people in 144 countries. The basic unit is the conference, and it's made up of members that have a mission to help people. Our conference works with the St. Lucy's Church and operates their outreach office. We serve members of the general public who live in the boundaries of St. Lucy Parish or who attend services at St. Lucy's Church. The parish boundaries include the city of Campbell and parts of the city of San Jose. The society is a nonprofit, and we are dedicated to feeding, clothing, housing, and healing individuals and families in our community who have nowhere else to turn for help. Prior to the pandemic, we distributed food bags and food vouchers to the homeless individuals and families 5 days a week from the outreach office. Currently, we have our younger members and there's only 2 of them, and their friends and other people who are church members, to distribute food and food vouchers once a week. We have also changed our policy of helping people with food from once per month up to 3 times a month. And we do our food distribution on Tuesday afternoons, and the volunteers from St. Lucy's Church and Catholic Charities come in on Friday mornings and distribute food that Second Harvest provides. And we have a very small, the conference has a small amount of people that we serve, and the Friday morning Second Harvest distribution usually runs between 400 and 700 cars that come through our parking lot.
Ms. Orens?
Yes.
And during the study session, which I believe you had listened in, one of our commissioner asked in terms of what you foresee in terms of, the rental assistance versus the food assistance support that you provide over the next 2 years, which is the next cycle of funding.
Yeah. Our food is dependent on how many people can come into our office or who we can actually serve. So the level of the food assistance will continue with as many people as can come in. But because the difference between that, providing that food and providing rent has to do with the amount of how much we're spending on rent. Okay. Before the pandemic, we would only pay a portion of a month's rent, and then make sure that the client had sufficient other funds to pay the rest of that rent. Because of the pandemic, we decided to try to provide at least a third, if not more, of a person's rent. So the difference between a food bag at $30 and a voucher and a rent of $700 or $800 is the reason there's such a big gap between how much we spend on food and how much we spend on the rent. Normally we stay within our own community for support, with the City of Campbell funds and then the parishioners, but we also had the resource of the county group. So at least 65% of the rent that we paid out, both for San Jose residents and Campbell residents, actually didn't come from our own resources. We asked our fellow St. Vincent de Paul offices to help us. So we don't expect that to continue after next year. A lot of our other St. Vincent de Paul groups got very large grants from other places and were able to help us with rent. I hope that answers that question.
Yes. Any other questions from commissioners?
When the pandemic hit in March, we were told to close our office because of the restrictions, and we were not able to even start up doing food distribution again until August or so, when we could open the office one day a week. In between the time we closed the office and we could open it, we were collecting rent requests. And by the time we figured out how to do all our work over the phone or through the internet or by fax, whatever, we had a list of like 30 or 40 rent requests in a queue that we then started to go through and started to take all the funds that we could gather together and use it for rent.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing we had to do this year is we usually have a backpack program for our clients and a Christmas basket program for our clients. This year, because of COVID-19, we just had to drop that. One, because of the distance restrictions, and two, because we were not allowed to have any clients in our office because this the Diocese of San Jose went through the whole all the different churches and said, this space you could only have this many people in at any one time. And we got told we could only have one person in our office at a time. And our rules for interviewing in person is that we have to have at least 2 people together. So we had to change all our methods and ways of doing things to do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin, for your presentation.
Okay, and then I just wanted to give you a couple examples of some of the people that we helped just in the last couple of months. We had a family of 6 with 4 children ranging in age from 1 to 17. The husband was assaulted in mid-November while leaving his apartment with his wife and his 1-year-old. He was taken to the hospital and he had bruises and a concussion, and he was not allowed to drive, so he couldn't do his work. He has now gone back to work, but they didn't have enough money to pay their December rent, so we helped them with that.
Thank you.
We had a 67-year-old woman who was she's living on Social Security and sharing her apartment with a roommate. And she came to us because her roommate left and she had to make up that difference. And we had a single mother with 3 children whose hours as a dental hygienist had been reduced and who was laid off from her other 2 part-time jobs. And she needed help with her rent. And a 4th one, this is the last one, and a husband and wife who work both in the food service industry, and both of them lost their jobs or they hours were really reduced to like 2 or 3 hours a week. And they've been using all their savings to meet expenses. And they came to St. Lucy's for rent help for January. But they have also been food insufficient. And we told them about our food program, both from the conference and from Catholic Charities and Second Harvest. And they've been coming on a very regular basis to get food.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time and your sharing all your client impact stories. And thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
All right. Our last but not least presentation from an agency is from Solace Senior Adults Legal Assistance. Miss Fiscal, so the one question that came up during the study session, if you weren't able to listen in, is just provide an example of a successful client story. Maybe that's just how you can summarize and if anything changed in terms of if the pandemic changed how you provide your services over the past 11 months, or how you're pivoting. Just those two things, if you can summarize those in your presentation.
Sure, I will certainly do that. Good evening, Georgia Basile, Directing Attorney of Senior Adults Legal Assistance. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to make a brief, I hope, presentation, but I am a lawyer, so sometimes I go on. Anyway, SALA, as many of you know, Senior Adults Legal Assistance, is a very small nonprofit organization comprised of 7 attorneys and 2 part-time staff. That is it. Nobody else. We are very lean and cost effective. We provide free legal services to Santa Clara County seniors 60 or older, including Campbell residents, targeting clients that are very low income or at risk of abuse, isolation, or loss of independence. Last year, 80% of the Campbell seniors we served were very low income. That's at 50% or below of the county median. 43% were 75 or older, and 58% had a disability, making them highly vulnerable and at risk. I also want to note that we served 49 Campbell residents last year. I'm not sure where that number 78 clients came from. I have my report right here that I submitted at the end of the year indicating 49 clients, and I would be happy to forward that to the staff and the commission just to confirm those numbers. So actually what we're serving, what we served last year and what we're planning to serve this year is very close to that goal. Our current subgrant supports our legal services only for Campbell residents, and we thank you. And again, we're requesting funding to continue these services. During any times covered by COVID-19 health orders, SALA will continue to provide services through intake appointments and follow-up legal work remotely and primarily by phone. We've been doing that since March 18th, when all senior centers in Santa Clara County had to close and canceled our on-site appointments. During COVID-19 health orders, we will also continue to coordinate outreach with Tina and the Adult Center to ensure that Campbell residents know about our services and that they are served by us. First 6 months of this year, we actually served 20 Campbell residents. So they are hearing about us and getting to us by telephone. When and if in-person services can be reinstated at senior centers throughout Santa Clara County, it is our hope that our appointments will be available at least once a month, if not more frequently, at the Adult Center. And I do believe that Tina is in alignment with that desire to try to get back to what I guess will be a new normal. I did want to mention that pre-COVID, 90% of the clients that SALA would see throughout Santa Clara County, and this was for the 37 years that I've been at SALA pre-COVID, they were seen at senior centers. So this really did have an impact on us in terms of seeing reduced numbers of clients at many cities, but at Campbell, the demand has remained pretty steady. And in the past, actually, Campbell Senior Center was our highest volume intake site throughout the county. So I think that also speaks very well for the staff there and the trust level that many older adults have seeking services of many varieties there at the site. Legal assistance is a critical need, safety net need for seniors, and that hasn't changed during the pandemic. If anything, it's become more critical. We continue to see clients with legal problems concerning public benefits that they rely on to shelter in place safely and meet basic needs. The primary ones are Social Security, SSI, Medicare, and Medi-Cal. We continue to see clients worried about eviction, even during the COVID-19 eviction moratoriums, or clients whose housing is otherwise in jeopardy, such as individuals needing reasonable accommodations due to disability so that they can stay in their housing and age in place. Clients that need to do basic planning continue to call us. This is planning for incapacity or end stages of life so that they can live with dignity and choice. Many can't afford an attorney at $500 an hour to do the basic planning that we can do free for them. And this planning has become even more important during COVID, certainly if they become gravely ill or are facing death. And regrettably, we are seeing an increase in the number of clients that are victims of elder abuse, usually by someone living in their homes or someone they know, adult children, grandchildren, caregivers, tenants renting rooms, even their neighbors. Dysfunctional family or living situations, we believe, have become amplified and are a contributing factor, but many of our clients are also sheltering in place with dysfunctional family members, which are creating problems. We were asked to share a story about our services, and I wanted to say that as attorneys, we are caretakers of our clients' confidentiality. So to protect clients' privacy, I'm actually sharing a story with you that's a composite from client cases from several cities representing a situation that we have encountered in the past frequently and continue to encounter now. And it's a client who's a victim of elder abuse and is also facing a possible eviction because of this abuse. So I wanted to share with you Mrs. C's story to give you a sense of how we become involved in cases. Our client is an 80-year-old widow who has a physical disability and relies upon a walker. She lives alone in an apartment in a senior housing complex for low-income individuals. She has a daughter who's mentally ill and is not taking her medications. This was causing a lot of problems in our client's life when the daughter would visit her. Sadly, the daughter was physically abusive with our client. On one occasion, she pushed our client when she was using her walker, causing our client to fall and injure her back. On another occasion, the daughter got angry and slapped our client across her face and spit on her. The daughter was also verbally abusive, going on angry, screaming rants and saying disturbing things to our client. The daughter would often be inches from our client's face when yelling at her. Several times our client had to lock herself in her bedroom until her daughter left the apartment. The situation got so bad, and not surprisingly, that the management at the complex told Mrs. C that they would have to evict her if she could not keep the daughter away. This is because the daughter's behavior also extended to many of the other tenants in the complex, yelling incoherent things at them, getting inches away from them in their faces, and frightening them. Needless to say, all of this was causing her great stress. So fearing not only for her health and safety, but also that she might be evicted, she did contact SALA. And I have to say, this is a pretty common fact situation. And I've gleaned a lot of these facts from restraining order petitions that we filed. What we usually do in these situations is these are emergencies for us, so they get highest priority. We arrange an appointment with a SALA attorney to meet with the client and advise her about her rights. In this situation, our attorney recommended an elder abuse restraining order because of what was at stake. Although the ultimate decision in all of our cases is up to our clients. We don't substitute judgment. We can't force them to do anything they don't want to do. A typical situation like this involves a lot of back and forth with the client. It's really, really difficult to pursue a restraining order, which is a very harsh remedy against a loved one and an adult child. But ultimately, she did authorize us to file for a temporary restraining order, a TRO, under elder abuse, which was granted and served on the daughter. And she was ordered immediately to stay away from our client and the housing complex. There was a subsequent hearing after the TRO to determine if the restraining order would continue. Our attorney represented our client in court, which we always do, where the judge heard testimony from various parties and witnesses regarding the issue, and the testimony did convince the judge to issue a 3-year restraining order under elder abuse against the daughter, ordering her to stay away from the client and from the complex. In these situations, generally life is much more peaceful for our clients and the other tenants that are also at the complex. Their sense of safety and their sense of quiet enjoyment has been restored. The police have not been called, as they had been on numerous occasions, to come and intervene in these situations. The management at the complex is very satisfied with the outcome. Basically, everything seems to have been resolved. In particular, because the client is no longer at risk of displacement or eviction and her stress is reduced. I have to say that her only regret, and this is very common, is that the abusive daughter was not ordered to get any anger management counseling and is still not taking her medications. This is a pretty common situation. We tell our clients there are a lot of things our legal assistants can address and resolve, but often it cannot force the abuser to get any help. until now. I have very good news to report that effective January, the elder abuse restraining orders can now actually include a request for an order for the abuser to get anger management counseling if in fact a restraining order is issued. We're not sure how this is going to work and who's going to be monitoring this, but it is a huge change in the whole process, and hopefully Mrs. C, our client, won't benefit from it, but many others may if they do move ahead and ask for this type of relief. So I just wanted to close by indicating that SALA, per our Older Americans Act funding requirements, can't charge fees for services. We cannot handle fee generating cases. We can't generate any income to support our services. We are pretty much reliant on grants and donations to support our services. And all of your funding, including other government grants, really goes dollar per dollar just for direct services and no overhead. So we do thank you very much for your past support. What we're asking for now constitutes 36% of our Campbell budget. So if that funding is reduced, and it pays for attorney salaries and support staff salaries that do our screening over the telephone of clients. So if the funding is reduced, services will probably be reduced proportionately, because our other funding is just not keeping up to help subsidize these services. So I don't know if I covered everything that you had asked about.
You did, and very efficient presentation. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, Chair Kaufman, that concludes the agency presentations, and I believe they all covered the questions that were raised during the study session.
Yes.
In terms of process, what happens next is that, we are closing the public hearing for tonight. Actually, unless there's any other questions that come up right now. Okay, then hearing none, we will close the public hearing and open it up back again in March, where the commission can discuss the funding recommendations they would like, the funding amounts they would like to recommend to the city council. And at the study session, I already heard some of you talking about potential ways you might approach the distribution of the funds. As you know, we have $55,000 to allocate, and we have requests in excess of that amount. So you can, when you attend the March meeting remotely, and everyone else will be invited to participate again, as well as members of the public residents, you can just come and perhaps have a proposal ready in terms of how you want to propose to your fellow commissioners that what amount you recommend for funding based on their requested amounts. And we will compile that recommendation. Somebody will make a motion, read into the record the agency amounts and the commission recommendation amounts, and that amount then gets forwarded to the city council, who then folds it into the budget, into the adopted budget. When they adopt their budget, the social service subgrant money is part of that package. So in March, we will pick up again and with the commissioners here discussing how you want to consider their requested amounts and meeting the $55,000 budget amount we have for the city. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, everyone, for your presentations. I know they felt pressed for time. All very important agencies, very difficult decisions to make, especially with the budget concerns. We appreciate your time today.
Yes, second to that. Thank you for hanging in there in this long meeting. I could listen to you guys all night because your work is so important, and I have a great deal of respect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
We will move on to good of the game.
I do believe we had a go to the game announcement. I'll let Commissioner Brocker take it from here.
I just wanted to mention that the early settlers gathering of Campbell is going to happen this year. Pandemic be damned. It's going to happen virtually. There's the information and details are at the end of our report, but basically the Campbell Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring the Zoom event. And so it's free and open to all. Everybody can join. So I may, oh, and it's Wednesday, February 17th from noon to 1:30. There is going to be a speaker. It's Museum Director Carrie Perkins, who spoke earlier, and she's going to give a presentation that's entitled Campbell's Coming to California from 1846 Journey West to Present Day City of Campbell. So I encourage folks to spread the word and let people know about it. What I think I might do is I've already registered for it, but I think I might go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal and then just sit outside of the Orchard City Banquet Hall.
Or you could go to Mama Mia's, who usually caters it. We could all visit Mama Mia's, pick up a meal, and
oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, great idea.
Right?
No kidding.
Right?
Yeah. There you go.
Do they give a toy though? Because I thought that was part of why you wanted.
I don't know. The food's excellent.
Food's excellent. Might get a mask or something. Anything else? Thank you, Commissioner Brocker. And I would encourage everybody to support local businesses, obviously, during this time.
Oh, speaking of the Chamber of Commerce, I saw a posting on Facebook. They're doing a bingo card promotion for local businesses. So that's kind of a fun thing. And then you get for every one of these bingo cards that you make a purchase at a local business, you get the stamp and complete the card. And for every one of these cards, you get entered into a drawing for some kind of prize. I've forgotten what it is.
Love that. Great idea. Okay, anything else? Good of the game? Let's move on to subcommittee reports. Campbell Cares.
Commissioner Chase, do you want to take that one? Or do you want me to?
You can. I wasn't aware if we had any updates for this.
We don't. The subcommittee meets next week. One of our subcommittee members has been extremely busy with her staff and COVID vaccines. So we're going to meet next week and talk about Commissioner Chase's proposal. So we'll have more information next month.
Great, thank you.
Margaret, I think you're still sharing your email there, just so you know.
Yeah. We don't want to read anything confidential.
Margarita, you might want to stop your screen sharing.
Neighborhood Association assistance grants.
I actually, Margarita, did we ever get any the website pilot? You're on mute though.
You're on mute, Margarita.
Geez, I just can't get it together this late in the evening. A web, you mean a web form, like creating a draft web form?
Yeah, where we were gonna.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that, and I didn't know if we were gonna. I didn't imagine that we were gonna have the time today to preview it. Yeah, so
okay, so we'll just say no updates right now, and then I'll just reach out in the next 3 to 4 days.
Understandable, everyone's concerned. Social services subgrants. Explore Art. I can report that our subcommittee met. We are continuing to put together ideas and going to come up with 3 general ideas. Probably next meeting we'll have a limited PowerPoint presentation that we can open for discussion and get feedback from everybody. And anyone who has ideas or was part of the Art Outside the Box program, I think is going to serve as a very valuable model for the public art program, is welcome to give us any input, and our subcommittee will likely have some questions going forward. Marianne or Davis, anything to add to that?
Yep. Yeah, that's great. I mean, we'll have more for the next meeting. Again, we weren't really planning to give a lengthy update, so we continue to plug ahead and keep working out those kinks, or push the projects forward, I should say.
Anyone want to go to 9:30? We can make it happen if you want.
Uh-oh.
He's ready.
We got a concert. 9:20. Anything else, anyone? With that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 9:19.
Chris, take us away. Just kidding.
One of my favorite jokes about the banjo is you can always suspect that a banjo is out of tune, but you can never be sure.
All right.
We won't test it tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for hanging in there.
Thanks, Robin, for staying. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.